Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with the guilt for being sick. And I know it's not a subject that most people talk about, but I think it's important that we speak about it because there is a lot of guilt associated with being sick. And we have to remember first that we didn't ask to be sick. I mean, nobody asked to be sick. We don't choose this life. And we have to remember that it's not our fault. Life has just thrown us these curves, and we just have to basically live them the best way that we can. And I know for me, I had a lot of guilt over the cost of medications because we only have one income coming into this house. And so every time I had to get a new medication because I had another problem, I always felt guilty about the extra money. And sometimes, which I don't recommend at all, is sometimes I would actually like skip medications, or I would try to wait longer before I would renew them to try to save money. I don't recommend that at all. And I just had to learn that, to accept that this was just the way our life was, and not to feel guilty, you know, when hubby had to take on extra jobs to bring in extra money. And the thing is, but then I also felt guilty because I felt like when he wasn't home as much, I couldn't complain about that. You know, because, oh, I'm spending the summer by myself because you're working. But then I felt like I couldn't complain about that because he was working because of me. So it took me a long time to get over those feelings, and I don't think you truly actually get over them completely. I don't think that will ever end, but I'm at least now in a situation where I'm not losing sleep over it, which before I was. And I think the big thing is that when you have a mental illness and chronic illnesses, and you look fine on the outside, and you're happy and, you know, happy-go-lucky person, then everybody thinks that everything's fine and that you're fine. But, you know, in the dark of night, when you're trying to sleep, that's the time when all those feelings of guilt, you know, he's having to do this because of me, or we can't do this because of me, or we can't go here, or we can't afford to do this, you know. And also too, there was a lot of guilt about things that I couldn't do anymore, like just simple things. And, you know, I have to make sure I take my medications at a certain time each day and a certain time every night. There's certain foods that I can't have after a certain time of the day. Like for me, anything that has caffeine in it, I can't have it, you know, say after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because it will keep me up all night and then I'll have insomnia. So, you know, that can really kind of put a wrench into things, like, you know, when you're celebrating something and there's cake afterwards, or ice cream, or you're having a picnic and there's chips and, you know, a lot of junk food or whatever, and you know that you have to be careful how much you can consume. And so there's things like that, and also simple things like, for me anyways, like going for a bike ride. You know, we got new bikes, and I can only go so far on the bike because of the problems that I have with my back. I can only ride the bike for so many minutes, and then I have to get off because my tailbone's gone to sleep and my legs are going numb. And also too, I've had problems with the pads of my hands, and so I will have to get off the bike and I'll have to shake my hands out because they're going numb. I'm not really sure why that's happening, but it's things like that. So like, you can't go for, you know, a 2-mile bike ride because I just can't do that. You know, even when it comes to going out for a walk, I can only go so far before, you know, I've run out of energy. So there's a lot of modifications that have happened over the years. It's not that we were like, you know, globetrotters or anything before. But there's just simple things. You know, I can't help out around the house like I used to be able to. So that, you know, ends up putting a lot more work on my husband. Now, luckily, we have our son living next door with his family. So he's helped out quite a bit with a lot of the yard work and anything that needs to be fixed, which has definitely helped my husband because, once again, I can't do it. So there's all those different things that people don't think about. I mean, they think that because you're this happy-go-lucky person that, you know, you're globetrotting the world and you're doing all these fantastic things, when in reality, you know, there's a lot of things that you just can't do anymore and you can't help with. And so that puts a lot of burden on your spouse or your partner, and so that can lead to a lot of guilt there too. But, you know, I think the big thing is that we just have to remember that we didn't choose this life, and you know, we're just trying to make the best of it. So I think you just have to put those feelings aside and just try not to dwell on it, and just learn to accept that this is the reality, and just try to move on. You know, but I mean, it's easier said than done, because I mean, guilt is a very heavy emotion, and it's probably one of the hardest emotions to deal with and to get rid of. And I don't think in this circumstances, you know, that you ever truly get rid of it. But I've just learned to live with it, and I've learned not to let it control me and control my life and control my emotions. And so I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's something that is kind of in the shadows and people don't think about, you know. So I hope this video was informative, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification button. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And remember, every day you wake up is a good day.